Sit back on the heels or cross-legged. Take a moment here to be still with your body. Palms along the legs. Close the eyes if that feels all right to you. Welcome yourself to Yogahour by turning into the breath. Just watching the inhale, watching the exhale. Tuck the chin down to the chest and rock the right ear over towards the right shoulder. Be real gentle here. Just kind of like pause. Let the shoulders drop a bit more away from the ears. And then walk the left fingertips out to the side. Notice how that's just a little bit more stretch. And then maybe right hand to the top ear for a little bit more stretch. And we're going to let this be the theme today. Walk your hands back. Second side. So you find that first placement, breathe with it. And then add just a little bit more. So now it's right fingertips out to the side. And then add just one little bit more again. Top. Left hand on top of the top ear. That little extra tug. If you think of each pose, kind of finding those 3 different bus stops, 3 different places to add. Always taking in whether it's the right time to add or maybe even subtract something. Chin back down to the chest. And then lift the head and open the eyes. And we'll get moving more with a full body. Come on over to all fours and do cat and cow. So all month we've taken in this notion of I now begin the practice. Beginning with the cat and cow that is available and full to you right now. And then maybe add on a little bit of a swish of the hips from side to side and look over your shoulders as you do that. And then add full circles, letting the hips drop down and then back and around towards the heels. Circle in the opposite direction. Just to give ourselves options. We begin one way, we're used to one way. Is that the right way today? Or maybe try something different. Everybody sit back in child's pose. Change to downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Look forward to your hands. Bend your knees a lot and slowly walk to the front end of the yoga mat. Here in a bent knee forward fold, make all 10 fingers touch the mat, but otherwise try to be really heavy and released in the upper body. Slowly roll up to standing. Once you get to standing, take it higher. Lift the arms up to the sky. Look up. Exhale, forward fold. Half lift. Step back to plank. Lower flat down to the mat. Interlace the hands behind your back and lift up. Belly down, back bend. Change to downward facing dog. Right away, step the right foot forward into your low lunge. Make sure you get your full stride. Lift the back leg high enough that we can keep it straight, and then come upright and lift the arms to the sky. Lower the hands around the front foot. Step back to plank. Hold your plank or add a push-up, down and up. Stretch to downward facing dog. Step the left foot forward. And again, maybe not being satisfied with the very first step, a little bit more. Find the right form and then come upright. A little bit more, arms to the sky. Lower the hands back around the front foot. Step back to plank. Add in the push-up. Downward facing dog. Pause for a breath. Okay, this time right leg up into the air, three-legged dog. Then step it forward. Hands to the inside of your foot. Down dog lunge, so spin the left heel flat against the ground. Walk the hands out towards the front corner of the mat. Broaden the front knee away from the right shoulder. Is there a little bit more stretch here? Can you take the hands out a little further? Can you push back into the left leg a little bit more? As we walk the hands in and around the front leg, step all the way back. Lift the left leg to the sky, three-legged dog. Pull the knee into the chest to step all the way forward into your lunge. Hands to the inside, back heel down. Again, walk the hands out towards the front corner. If you're like me, all the weight wants to sit down into the front big toe. Try to instead push it up and back to the right pinky toe. The effort is the little bit more. It's that effort of lifting and pushing through the back leg. Walk the hands in. Downward facing dog, step it all the way back. Again, take another full breath in downward facing dog. Exhale, let it go. Look in between your hands and step or jump to the front end of the yoga mat. Half lift, forward fold, stand up, reach the arms to the sky. Hold on to your left wrist, reach over towards the right side here. Standing crescent pose. As you go across the center, hold on to the right wrist. Lean to the left. Good. Come back to your middle. Exhale, forward fold. We'll speed all of this up for the second round, so that's your little bit more. Inhale, half lift. Step back to plank. Lower flat down to the mat, hands behind your back, interlace, lift up. Change to downward facing dog. Right away, step the right foot through, come upright, high lunge. Arms down, step through plank, add the push-up for a little bit more. Downward dog. Do the second side, left foot forward, come up to your high lunge. Just about half a breath and then arms go right back down. Step back, push up, down dog, full breath in, full breath out. Right leg high, three-legged dog, step it through. Come up to your high lunge and then add a twist. Left elbow to the outside of the right knee, palms together, toe and turn the belly. Look down for most ease and balance. Look to the side or up to challenge. Untwist, set the hands down. Step back to downward facing dog. Left side, left leg high. Step it through. High lunge first. Add the twist for a little more. Challenge the eye gaze for a little more. Untwist, step back to dog pose. Give it a breath. Let it go. Look to your hands, step or try a jump. Half lift. Forward fold. Stand, lift the arms to the sky, keep arms overhead. Take right hand, hold on to the left upper arm bone, push your head back into your right forearm, and lean towards the right. A little more ask in the chest and upper back here. Come to the second side. You can always go back to that wrist hold if this second little bit more is too much. Back to the center. Exhale, forward fold. Let's keep lifting our pace a little bit. Inhale, half lift. Step back, lower down. Interlace the hands behind the back. Lift everything that you can up. Let it go. Downward facing dog. Right foot forward, high lunge. Half a breath. Lower the hands, plank or push up. Down dog. Left foot forward, high lunge. Arms down, step back. Add the push up or don't. Down dog. One breath here. Lift the right leg high, three-legged dog. Step it all the way through. Hands to the inside like the first time. Spin the back heel down. Interlace the hands behind your back. You can keep torso forward like you would in a twist. Arms up, head down for a little bit more. So no handed lunge here. Release the hands on either side of the front foot. Step back. Three-legged dog, left leg to the sky. Step it all the way through. Hands to the inside, spin the right heel down. Interlace the second favorite finger in front. Keep torso more forward in line with the front thigh. Lift the arms up. Next stage is trying to drop the head even lower than the thigh. Arms higher towards the sky. Breathe. And release the hands, step back, downward facing dog. Nice breath here. Great set of warm-ups. Look forward to your hands. Step or jump to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift. forward fold. Stand, reach the arms to the sky, and gather the palms right to the center of the chest. Give yourself a couple of breaths here to notice how you feel. Notice the lifted heart rate, the warmth that courses through the body by doing just a little bit of movement. Okay, we're gonna go right into our standing pose series. Take a wide stance, face a long edge of your mat. Extend the arms out in either direction. Turn the right toes. Triangle pose. Reach as far as you can to the right. Lower the right hand towards your leg or the floor. Top arm to the sky. Keep the arms and the legs as straight as you can. Hips, shoulders open towards the long edge of the mat. A little bit more. Turn the gaze up. And a little bit more, stay here. Length of time is a wonderful way to challenge yourself to that next stage of the practice. Come all the way up and switch your feet, face the opposite direction. Hinge from the hips, again, reach as far as you can. Left hand to the side and then down, top arm up. Anytime we look down, it'll secure balance a little bit more. If we're looking to the side or up, it's that little bit extra of challenge and balance and control. Again, if you're used to staying for 3 or 4 breaths, try 5 or 6 here. See what you notice with that. And then let's all come back upright. Switch the feet again, back to the first side. Bend the right knee, right elbow to the knee. Top arm palm down overhead for extended side angle. Let the top shoulder move more back. The back hip actually pushes a little bit more forward to get that opening in space. Still a little bit more. Take the fingertips down to the floor instead of elbow to knee while keeping everything else you've already found. Let's add this right into half moon pose. Look down at the mat. Heel toe the back foot in until you've got some space to change your weight into the front foot, front fingertips, and then lift the left leg into the sky. Left arm up towards the sky as well. Stay there, find your balance. And trace it all the way back to warrior 2. So find the long length of your stride first, and then cartwheel the arms up and look out over your front fingertips. Legs, body, probably a little bit tired of this particular position. Dig down deep into the gut for 2 more breaths. We've done it. Straighten the right leg, turn on your toes. Start with side angle pose, one thing at a time. Here makes it, I think, more doable. So start with the intention of elbow to knee, top arm palm down overhead. And if that's my beginning, and it's not too hard to add a little more opening in the shoulders. That little extra push of the back hip forward, the top shoulder back. And then maybe a little bit more fingertips down to the floor. My maybes are do it or don't. Does it work for you? And then look down, heel toe the back foot in, so that we change to half moon, Ardha Chandrasana. Balance on left fingertips, left leg. Make the left leg only as straight as it'll go. Top arm to the sky. Only as straight as it'll go, meaning feel free to keep a nice bend in the bottom knee to free up more space in the low back, freedom in the hamstrings. And then walk it on back to warrior two. Gaze out over your front fingertips. Stay there. Next breath, straighten the left foot, turn the toes. Fingertips together, bring the feet all the way in. And then release the hands down, give everything a little bit of a shake. Okay, you can turn back towards that short edge of your yoga mat. Pick your right knee up into the chest. Our standing poses go into the balance series now. Hold underneath the right thigh for a little more lift. A little bit more, we're gonna crawl belly down, head down towards the thigh, and change hands underneath your foot. Notice what's happening on your left leg here. Stand as tall as you can. Lift up the kneecap, tone in the quad. Still good there? Kick your right heel straight out in front of you. Bring your left hand to your waist and open your right foot out to the side. Come more upright again in the torso if you were bent over. And then stamp both feet back down to the mat. Chair pose, Utkatasana, bend the knees, sit into your thighs. Try to keep the torso upright and look past your fingertips. Enjoy that we have 2 feet on the floor here before we have to change it to the other side. Stand all the way back up and release the arms down by your side. Let's take it stage by stage on the second side. First little bit, left leg up. Next, hold under the thigh to try to get the leg a little more lifted, more flexion in the hip. And then lean forward a bit, head down, and that should root your hip further back and change the hands to underneath your foot. This might be a good stopping stage for you, and you can concentrate on that standing leg, make it as straight as possible. Next stage, kick the left leg straight out in front of you. Flex the foot, point the toes, knees straight up towards the sky. Stay with it. And then right hand to the waist, stand taller again, and take the left leg out to the left side. If you fall out, I just did, I simply try again. The best beginning is from that knowledge of trying. And 2 feet back down to the floor. Utkatasana. Seal it in here. Exhale, forward fold. Touch the fingertips down to the mat. Straighter legs. Bring your hands to your hips, put your elbows up to the sky. Push down into your feet and come all the way upright. Good. We're going to put the weight again just on the right leg. Kick the left heel towards your seat. Bend the right knee. I always think of the cuckoo birds that I would see in the dentist office here. We're going to hinge forward so that as your head dips down to try to find the water, the left leg lifts up. And then straighten it all out for warrior three. Arms forward, leg back. Right leg as straight as it'll go. Keeping hips, shoulders face down to the mat. One more breath. And bring it all back to 2 feet. Stand on just your left leg, kick your right heel towards your seat. Bend your left knee. And again, as you tilt head, chest forward, right leg lifts up. With the hands at the waist, you should be able to notice if you're lifting the hips a little bit out, turn to the side, and try to keep them focused down to the mat. And then a little bit more, straighten the back leg, send the arms forward. A little bit more, go for a straighter left leg. Bring it all back down. Stand. Walk to the top edge of the yoga mat. Lift both arms to the sky. Ooh, big breath. Lift, lift, lift. Exhale, forward fold. Let's end the standing series with surely everybody's favorite pose. I say that sarcastically. It's twisted triangle. Keep your right foot forward. Step your left foot back. I'm going to walk this through in those little bit more pieces like we've been doing. So first stage today, back foot hops in. Get 2 straight legs. Bring your hands to your hips. Think more like pyramid pose first. Reach your head as long as you can out in front rather than just down. A little bit more. Take the left arm straight out. A little bit more. Drop the left hand down to the yoga mat, either side of the foot that works for you. A little more. Tone and turn the abdomen until you can take the right arm up to the sky. Twisted triangle, Pavrita Trikonasana. Walk it all back. Do the same stages you came into to go out. Lift the torso. Little bend in both knees. Drop it down into that low lunge. Take the right hand high into your revolved lunge. Revolved lunge is a really nice version, stripped down, of revolved triangle pose. From here, we're simply going to step the left foot forward to switch sides, right foot back. So from that long, low lunge, the first thing we do is step the back heel in. Push the back heel down. And that's important. We want to keep that back heel down the whole time if we can, as we add on the other stages. Hands to the hips, 2 straight legs. Think from the hips to the head, parallel to the yoga mat. Here, like warrior three, if one hip is opened to the side, try to draw both hip points down so they're parallel to the floor. Extend the right arm out in front. Lots of work to stay there, or you can drop the hand down, left arm up to the sky for a twisted triangle pose. So this for me is when the weight wants to go into the front leg and the back heel starts to get really light. Do the best that you can to still press through the back outer heel, the right heel here. And then walk out of it. Take each stage you came in to get out. Upright for just a moment and then bend both knees to drop the hands down and slide back into your full long low lunge. And revolve again, left arm up to the sky. From here, left hand down, step backwards to downward facing dog. And this is actually the pose. It's not a transition right now. Take the time to be fully in your downward facing dog. Actively press the hands down and forward to get that lift of the shoulders, up and back, long reach through the spine. Feel free to have some bend in the knees to open up through low back and hamstrings, and then gently take the legs straighter. Think thighs back, heels down as you do so. We're here for 2 more breaths. Swing the right foot to the outside of the right hand, back into your lunge. And go right into your favorite form of humble warrior, forearm lunge. So you could stay on the hands, bend the elbows, or go all the way down to the forearms here. Do try looking forward past the fingers, past the front toes, so you still get a longer spine. Good challenge of the stretch in the hips. Walk back up to your hands if you're lower. Lower the left knee down to the mat to go into twisted monkey. So turn the front toe, knee, hip out. Pull the back heel in so you get the quad stretch. And then add a twist. Right arm goes up and around to hold on to the back foot. Stay up on the on the left hand or down on the left forearm. Bring yourself back to downward facing dog. So slowly walk it all the way through, down dog. Second side, swing the left foot to the outside of the left hand. So you should be able to take up the whole short edge of the mat. And come on down to right forearm, left forearm. That's a big drop. It's not a little bit more. So feel free to build in those little bit more stages with bent elbows or forearms underneath some height as needed. And if you are lower down, crawl it back up here to the hands. Right knee down, twisted monkey. Open up the left knee, hip, foot. Pull the right heel in so you get the quad stretch. And then you add the twist. Left arm reaches up and around. Stay up on the right hand or go lower to the right forearm. If you're going down to the right forearm, it's actually less back bend, more quad. Carefully come out of this position, go all the way, walk it back to downward dog. And give it 2 down dog breaths. Inhale forward to plank pose. Lie flat down onto your belly. Bend both knees. Bow pose. So the first little bit is reach your hands back without touching the feet and lift. The next little bit would be to hold the front of your ankles and lift. The next little bit from there would be to walk the hands down, hold more at your ankles rather than your feet. Flex the feet back and lift. Lower out of bow pose. Place the hands right under the chest for up dog, for up dog. So we're gonna go all the way, lift the chest to straight arms. Balance on just the top of the feet, so get the hips off of the ground as well. And then lower back down to the belly. Push to child's pose. And change to downward facing dog. We're taking this into our side plank series. Hold right hand down, outer edge of the right foot. Open to the long edge of your mat, left arm up to the sky. Couple of things here. Step the left foot forward and hip like a kickstand to lift the hips even higher up. And then take the left foot off of the ground. Let it fly like you would in half moon pose. Last, step the foot behind you. Bend both knees. Turn the hips and shoulders so they face up towards the sky. Cut them across in our wild thing pose. Go for a straighter right leg again. Big back bend. Reach the left arm up and over. From here, look down at your mat and sit. Carefully unwind yourself. Push back to child's pose. Downward facing dog. All right, so we've got 3 variations that we're looking at all at one time in side plank. Left hand, balance on the outer edge of the left foot. Stack the feet, lift the right arm, for a moment. All right, and then step the right foot forward for that kickstand. Can you fly the right leg up? And thirdly, step it back behind you. Bend both knees, so that gives you the opportunity to reset, kind of twist in the hips and shoulders, and then go for a straighter left leg again. Most of the weight still left hand, left foot. Wild thing pose. Nice, nice, nice. Come back around. You can just sit on your bottom. Unwind. Child's pose. Come up to all fours, maybe a couple of rounds of cat and cow, any of those different phases of cat and cow that we started with that would feel right to you here. We get to chill out for a moment in pigeon pose, right knee forward, left leg back. Sleeping pigeon, come down to the forearms or the forehead. If sleeping pigeon doesn't feel great to you, you can do this rolled over onto your back with the legs in the figure 4 shape. Because as I said, I want this to be like 90 seconds that are a little more chill than what we just came from. And then switch sides of your sleeping pigeon and go through any transition points that feel good to you. All fours, down dog, but switch left knee forward, right leg back. Again, down to the forearms or forehead. For those with the bonus of practicing live together, these are all my favorite tracks from the 90s today. Walk it back up to your hands. Stretch to downward facing dog. One more chance at up dog here. So if you come forward to plank pose, this is another really strong way to come in. Come from plank and then flip your feet first. Then drop the hips down and forward, keeping the arms, legs straight, strong. Think of looking up towards where the wall and ceiling meet one another. Push down through the front of your feet to lift the hips and flip back to downward dog. Set the knees down, change to sit down on your butt, stretch the legs straight out in front of you. We're going to go through this series pretty quick today. Hold your right foot like a backpack strap. So you give it a few swings. I'm not trying to mirror you guys. I'm going to stay on my right leg as well. It makes things feel a little easier to come by. Strap the leg up on the shoulder. Both palms flat down on either side of the legs. All the muscular energy that you can gather, squeeze in towards the midline. Push down into your hands to try to lift your butt off of the ground. And sit your butt down, lean back and lift your heel up. With the heel up, cross it over your ankle. Squeeze the knees in around your right arm bone. Push the hands down again to try to get your butt off of the ground. I'm cheating. I've got my feet rested on my hand right now. You can do that. And then try to stretch the legs out. Like you're in a low push-up, lean forward, hover, hover, hover. Let it all crash down to the mat. Untwist yourself and find it to the second side. So we go right into that cradle of the left leg, swing back and forth. And then try to hook your leg somewhere above the line of the elbow. The higher you can get that hook, I find the pose more doable. Clamp the heel down, squeeze everything strong to the middle. Try to get your seat up first. See what that takes, and then butt down, heel up. While you're there, cross the ankles, squeeze the knees in. And then you go back to that more forward position, press down through the hands to try to get the butt up. But again, you can cheat, put the feet down with the butt up. And then for just a moment, can you extend the legs and fold over, low push-up. And you can just crumble down out of that. Let it all sort of shake out. Get right into our cosmic abs to go right into the next thing. So pedal the feet towards the right as you pedal the arms to the left. Switch it on over to the second side. The slower and more exaggerated you make these movements, the harder it is. So you get to choose your pace and speed. Back to the first side. And second side. Lie down onto your back. Leg lifts. Make it easier by placing the hands underneath your seat. Make it harder by placing the hands behind your head. Do you take both legs straight up into the air? Lower the legs until they're maybe a foot off of the ground, and then send them straight back up. Still looking for a little bit more? Lift the head and shoulders off the mat. Concentrate on your breath. Slow down the breath to help you out. Hug both knees into your chest. Job well done. Bridge pose, soles of the feet to the mat. Reach and try to brush close to your heels. Push your head and shoulders down into the mat. Feel the curve of your neck and low back away from the mat. We want to keep those natural curves of the spine as we work here. Lift the thighs up, hips up for bridge pose, Satyabandha Sarvangasana. Take the hands and hold the edges of your mat or interlace the hands underneath you like we did before, and all those belly down back bends at the beginning of class. We've just flipped it over now. Push down a lot into your feet, shoulders, head. Lift the hips. Again, a little bit more. Stay here. If you have any pain that comes in bridge pose or just a stopping point because knees feel funky, heel toe the feet out a little bit, even turn the toes out a bit, and see if that helps. Your little bit more might be changing some of the alignment that you thought you were supposed to do. The right alignment is the one that works for you. Okay, let's come on down, hug the knees back into the chest for a moment. And then a little momentum to rock up and back. Come towards a seated position and then all the way through. When you're ready, take this to downward facing dog. So rock over and stretch to dog pose. Take downward facing dog with the inner edges of your feet together. We're going to build this into a squat, garland squat with feet together, which means I want you to bend your knees out to the side. Start to walk your hands backwards. As you walk your hands back, sit your butt more down towards your heels. I imagine that the upper body is doing child's pose. So once I get the weight into the feet, then again walk the hands more forward, and now you're very light on the hands. Drop the heels as close to or against the mat as works for you. And then garland pose changes to Bakasana. Everybody's favorite balance pose to work on, arm balance pose. Solid hands. Trade the weight again to those hands so that now you can lift your butt and drop the knees onto the upper arm bones. You're basically trying to form that garland shape again, but in the air. So lift 1 or 2 feet up, squeeze the inner edges of the feet together. Think heels as close to your seat as possible. Arms as straight as possible. And then you can drop it back to garland pose. Noticing how those two poses can work well together. Next here, crawl it out to all fours. Couple of rounds of cat and cow. And then into a kneeling position. Take the hands to the hips. Lift to kneeling. This takes us into camel pose. Decide now, do you want feet flat? That's harder. Toes tucked to make the heels more accessible, less of a back bend necessary. But to start, keep your hands at your waist. Squeeze the elbows back behind you. So I'm making the thumbs touch as I do that. And then arch up and over the upper back here. The low back is the most flexible bits. So is the neck. They'll want to release. You've got to hold them steadier to create the opening in the upper back. Then reach one hand at a time down to your heels. If you lean a little side to side, fine, but then can you balance it back out to the center? Both hips, shoulders face straight up to the sky. If you walk the hands down, walk it back to the low back. Find your neutral. One more time, downward facing dog for this practice. Place the hands down, stretch it full out. Child's pose, set the knees down, press the hips to sit back. Change to Baddha Konasana, so have a seat. Soles of the feet together, knees out to the side. Hold on to your feet or your ankles to sit really tall. Stay upright in this pose. Doesn't have to be the biggest stretch. This is our transition towards cooling down. Okay, and then leave the right foot as is and take the left leg out to the side. Reach the left hand to try to hold on to the left leg or foot. And let's open the body to the side here. So right arm up and over like side angle pose. Keep the chest more turned to the side. Look up towards the sky. And then rotate hips and shoulders to look down at the mat. Hands on either side of that extended leg. Okay, back off of this, across the center, so you can bring the feet together in Baddha Konasana, and then stretch the opposite leg out. Reach the right hand towards the right foot. Left arm up and over like a rainbow, so you look up towards the sky. Think more like extended side angle here. And then turn to fold over the extended leg, hands on either side. Walk it back to your center. Extend both legs straight out in front of you. Right foot comes in and over. Add a twist here. Look over the right side. Keep the left leg extended out, or you can kick the heel in towards the right hip. Nice and easy here. Change it to the second side. So if you extended the leg out, you're going to kick both of them out and then left foot over. Add the twist. Right heel can kick in towards the outer left hip. Untwist, kick both legs straight out in front of you. East stretch, meaning a stretch of the front side of the body. Take the hands about a foot behind your hips. Let's just go for it with straight legs today. Press down into your hands, your feet, lift your hips up. Press your hips as high as you can. Try to press the whole foot down to the mat. Lift across the chest. Lower the hips down. That caught a frog in my throat. Staff pose, Dandasana. Stare at your toes. Spread the toes nice and wide, toes, knees straight up towards the sky. Fold over, Paschimottanasana. And change to lie down onto your back. Pull your knees into your chest. Last thing. Hands out to a T. Drop the knees over towards the right side in a supine twist. If you like a different type of supine twist, feel free to change it up and do that. Just keeping it nice and simple. Twist over to your second side. Friends, from here, I invite you to add in that last bit of movement that feels right to you. Add your inverted pose if that's a piece of your end practice. If you want to revisit a pose from earlier in class or just need a little bit of time to wiggle it out, cover with a blanket, this is the time for that. After your last thing, find your still position, your Shavasana. As ever, your Shavasana could be lying back, on your side, or seated. Here in Shavasana, just like we did through the practice, let each breath bring in a little bit more. Ironically, the more in Shavasana is how can I do less? If you're lying back, I invite you to take your time now to come to a seated position. Gather the hands to Anjali Mudra, so fingertips together, that little space in between the palms. That's where we hold the intention for the next moments of this day, for the next moments of your practice off of the mat. We'll infuse that intention with the sound of Om. Feel free to sing along here, to listen, or to tune it out. Empty out the breath and take a deep breath in. Namaste.